Good evening, everyone. I have 6:08. I will call the Board of Zoning Appeals special meeting for 7/23/25 to order. Would everyone please rise? We'll do a moment of silence followed by the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation. All right, next item on the agenda is roll call. Please, would you please call roll? Sergio?
Member Johns is not here today. Member Mayor,
Here.
Member Sharp,
Present.
Member Hemingway is not here today, and Member Red.
I am here. Since we have a quorum, we'll look into the next item on the agenda, which is the approval of minutes from June 10th, 2025.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Sergio, can I second this one since I was here, even though the chair again is not here? I'll second.
Please comfortable with the second.
I'll second. All right, we have a motion and a second in discussion. Being none, please call roll.
Member Mayor,
Yes.
Member Sharp,
Yes.
and Member Red.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is preliminary hearings. We have BZA 25004. It's a use variance. If I say your last name wrong, please correct me. Andrew Sirios, okay. Precision Control Systems Inc. requests a variance from table 266405 A6 district standards, principal use, light industrial use category to allow a building system construction business use at the existing building located at 10350 Calumet Avenue. Sergio, I'll turn this over to you for a presentation.
Sure. The site is located approximately northwest of the intersection of Calumet Avenue and Main Street. It is the old Harley Davidson building, the Harley Davidson building, just north of the gas station there at that intersection. The applicant is with Precision Control Systems. They are a HVAC construction or building systems construction, primarily dealing with commercial use. Andrew Sirius is here to present the project. They're requesting to relocate several of their offices, and I'll let him elaborate a little bit more on their goal, but relocate several of their buildings, consolidate some of their offices into this location. They've indicated that they currently have about 60 office employees, 60 field employees, and they would require about 30 to 40 parking stalls. And they would have some 2 to 4 service vans, and deliveries will be known to 1 to 2 weeks on various trucks for various sizes. They're looking to move forward with this. However, prior to that, they would need a use variance recommendation to the town council to allow a building systems construction business at this location.
Thank you, Sergio. Does anyone have any questions for staff right now? That being said, is someone here to speak on behalf of Precision Controls? If so, come on up to the microphone and please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you, Brad. Figure this out, right? Well, I can speak loud. We'll do that. Thank you for having us here. So Andrew Sirios, our current office is at 405 East Bridge Road in Griffith. So the general plan, and I have some handouts here if you want to look at, some preliminary, office plans. We're just kind of playing with layouts right now for the facility, to kind of give everyone an update of where we're at in our process. We currently have the real estate thing, but kind of the agreement for the sale in place. But we're kind of working down parallel paths right now, looking at budgets for renovation, as well as going through this process for a zoning change. So kind of working those at the same time. So the plans are very preliminary, really just a kind of feasibility study, more or less. So I do have some of those. Oh, you do have those. That's actually the existing layout, but I can talk off of those and then hand these out. For the future, yes. So precision control systems, just to give you a real brief background, we're a 45-year-old Northwest Indiana based family-owned company. What we perform are temperature controls for commercial facilities, hospitals, schools, commercial buildings, things like that, as well as mechanical HVAC service. Currently located in Griffith, we've outgrown our facilities. We actually have a few rental spots where we have like a couple people stashed away in different areas around Griffith right now. Our main territory, Northwest Indiana, southwest suburbs in Illinois. We plan to occupy the office. Really, it would be primarily like an engineering accounting office for us. So in the office right now, we have actually probably like mid-50s in the employee count. Of engineers, project managers, programmers, and various accounting, staff to support that sales staff, things like that. And then in the field, we have pipe fitters and electricians that perform the work on various sites. What our general plan would be to do if we look at the layout here right now is really this front office space here would essentially be an office space. We plan on probably putting this is going to change here. We're actually thinking about keeping that as open, more of an open office space, put some training rooms or something. We could open up the doors in the summer and do things like that. But really converting this front area into more like traditional engineering office space. And then this back area would be our warehouse. So it's probably more than we need right now, but it's nice having them connected. To answer any questions on what we do in our warehouse, we do store tools and things like that, some, PPE for our field and things along those lines, gang boxes for job sites. And then the primary activity that goes on in there is we receive, deliveries for our projects. We're a temperature controls contractor. A lot of it's little boxes that may come palletized or in bigger cardboard boxes. And then we take them, sort them out, make sure they're kind of in the right job, organized by the right project. And then we have 2 drivers in the shop currently. Every once in a while we pull a warehouse guy to run parts out, to drive that stuff out to meet our field crews in the field and deliver the parts to them. We do have from probably one of the concerns and questions I know I would come up is, like big tractor trailer deliveries. Some days we have none. On a high traffic day, we may have 1 or 2, throughout the, I'd say like a busy day for those big deliveries. We do have some of our field staff does come into the warehouse, occasionally. A lot of our business is in Illinois. Almost all our employees live in Indiana. So as they're driving west in the morning, they stop by, pick up their parts and things they need, and then off to the job site or the customer site they go. Parking in general, we did some parking counts. I can go through that if there's any details. We were working with an architect who did an analysis of that. We believe we're well within, the town ordinance or code on that front. But, people arrive between 6 and 8 a.m. in the morning, and they're typically gone between 4 and 6 p.m. at night, unless I'm working late. Usually that's how that goes. But the exterior of the building, we really aren't planning to do anything on the exterior of the building other than eventually we'd work through probably putting up signage, but we don't thrive off of foot traffic or anything. So it's more just identification. And then ideally, personally, I want to keep like all these garage doors that go up, depending on how the layout goes for training rooms and like, when we have a nice lunch on a nice day or something like that. But we may replace some of these with like a storefront that pretty much matches what's there. But other than that, we're not really planning on like doing any sort of additions or major renovations on the exterior of the facility that would really change the general appearance. Obviously, if there's landscaping requirements or things like that, we would, we'd comply with that in the code, and we work through that with our architect. Other than that, I think, I would say, we're excited, and hopefully you'll accept us as part of, the Munster community. We work with a lot of the businesses, healthcare and things like that in Munster. Our employees are excited they want to do a winter golf league at the indoor golf simulator place. We even hold our annual Christmas party in Munster, and we are, contributors to the theater at the center and Northwest Indiana Symphony. So I think we'd be a good addition to Munster, and, we hope you'll have us.
Thank you. Any questions from members of the board?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Regarding parking, this might be more.
Mhm.
So how many parking spaces are there currently?
72.
72?
Yep.
Okay. We did an aerial calculation, we came up with 65 parking spaces. They may have additional stripings that they're wanting to do, but based on the plan that was submitted, we're showing 65.
Yeah. And I apologize, when we originally submitted that, we found on a future kind of walk there, or someone sent it to us, maybe it was the realtor got it. This was a 2023 survey, so I actually just got this like a few days ago. This one shows 72, but obviously we verify that and ensure that, and if you need clarification, I'll be happy to provide it.
So, you have 60 office employees,
Roughly, we're less than that right now, but yes.
and then your guys come in the mornings, your field guys all in the
No.
morning?
One or two maybe.
Okay.
We try not to have them come in, because they're supposed to be out
Do they come in,
working.
turn in their time once a week?
No, that's all electronic, yeah, it's all.
So they'd only be
tablets.
coming in to get parts and that kind of thing?
Yeah, they'll come in and get parts, or if they have to come in for like an office meeting or something like that, we'll let them come in.
That's all I had.
Are you doing any kind of fabrication or anything in your?
No.
warehouse?
No, we don't do any like piping fabrication or anything like that. It's a non-production facility, solely warehouse.
Any plans to store anything outside of the building?
No, I think and we put this in one of the things, we always keep a couple, few spare vans. And I thought that was a point of contention when you grabbed me in the hallway. We, like, right now, I think we have 3 spare vans and then a delivery pickup truck that, if it makes sense, if you go up to that previous one on the west side of the building, at least my thought if this were a point of contention, would be to park them along the backside there. And that would be kind of our overnight if we need to leave spare vans there. We could evaluate, potentially the warehouse is actually separated in 2 where there's a smaller section to the north. We'd have to do some game planning on the warehouse, but there is a possibility we could store something, a vehicle on the north end, but it may also obstruct traffic patterns in the warehouse.
And you're not planning on parking any vehicles on the inside of the warehouse?
No, right now, no. That's, it would definitely be a thought, but we don't know how it would work right now.
And the deliveries you said are mostly just like UPS type of thing? Or
Yeah,
talking about-
UPS, some box trucks,
Yeah.
and then, like I said, we have, rarely, I'd say like a few times a week, we have like a semi coming in to drop stuff off, and usually what they're dropping off is like a pallet, but it's just because they're loaded with all kinds of different deliveries.
Like rooftops and things like.
No, I mean, we might get a condensing unit or something like that, occasionally, and we'd store that inside. That's what we currently do at our current location. Anything bigger than that, we are, owned by our ownership is the Hill family, the Hill Mechanical Group, if any of you are aware of that. So anything larger than that, we store at our much larger facility, near O'Hare. And then we use their
Said Jim.
logistics. Yeah.
I have to call Jim tomorrow.
Go for it, he's the Switzerland.
He's in Switzerland.
He does a lot of work for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
My
I'm
question,
very familiar.
my question is, obviously, you heard some of my stuff in the hallway. This is the first buildings in the Munster. This is a future medical campus all the way around here.
Yeah, understood.
So the hard part here, me living in this area for 20 years, walkable distance from here is, one, I don't want to see semi and truck traffic coming out of a building that's built to be retail,
Mhm.
office building, not made to be manufacturing. We have manufacturing districts, like I explained to you earlier,
Mhm.
that are zone manufacturing. There's empty property. We build a brand new building there, by 3 Floyds, and that whole district office Superior. Here we generate truck traffic. We're also generating, I'm looking at your warehouse right now on Google Earth, and there's 8 or 10 service vans all the way around there. Looks like you got a pretty good sized warehouse right there.
Mhm.
And I would guess there's probably gonna be more service vans that are telling us there during the day, coming in and out for parts. And I just think we're creating more of an industrial look on Calumet Avenue, where this is more of a business district down Calumet Avenue. So it's a hard pressed sale for me personally to jump on and want to rezone this to a manufacturing district, where this has always been a commercial district. That's just my 2 cents, just watching it. I know the traffic in this area is already bad enough.
Mhm.
There's a lot of accidents on Main and Calumet.
Okay.
Introducing more truck traffic to that area.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's the best fit for this area. And, obviously, everyone on this board has their own personal opinions. It's just, I've witnessed this area of the subdivision right across the street for, like I said, 20 years. And I know that turn also coming in between BP and that shared driveway isn't the easiest access point to get in and out of there.
Mr. Rabbit, question for you now. So I mean, the building was built with that warehouse space, you know, in industrial look to it. You know, so, you know, if your concern is that it's not in keeping with the other medical buildings and their appearance, that maybe we should be talking to him about some changes to the warehouse siting.
It's also huge, Sharon, with truck traffic,
Understood.
service vans.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, I understand.
You've been in the same kind of business, probably all 3 of us over our whole careers, so you know
Correct.
how these uses become extra vans parked outside, and it looks like a construction company, not.
Well, they are construction.
Right.
So, yeah, but thankfully they won't have any mortar mixers or anything like that hanging
Who
out.
knows, right?
Well, the
We went
original,
from small boxes and now condensing units, right?
True.
So,
yeah, and I know the original warehouse, by touring it, which we probably have some work to do there too. But, you know, I mean, it was a full service shop. I mean, it's oily paint booths, everything kind of shop in there.
Well, but I think by nature of the type of business that it was, I mean, they didn't have, you know, a lot of people going in and out of there buying Harleys.
Mhm.
You know, so it wasn't a high traffic business. Yours will be, you're gonna have 60 people working there daily, so that's
Yeah.
a different story.
Well, yeah, I can't answer those questions. Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, if this is, if your concern is the appearance of the building, this is the time to say something.
appearance of the bill is fine. It's huge.
No, I'm talking, I know, but I'm just saying, the warehouse look of the backside of it.
Like I said, I'm more concerned with,
Yeah,
the bureaus asking for the use compared to what the buildings.
Understood.
That's what we're asking for tonight, right?
And the issue is use. You can't tell them how to change the building. You can't.
Okay.
You legally cannot do it.
Yeah, and the use, I mean, like I said, it'll be warehouse where, you know, previously it was a auto shop, basically. You know, that's just,
I believe the last people that looking before they built their own facility was a medical building. It's probably more in line with that campus because it's more of a.
yeah. Control over that.
Well, that being said, this is just a preliminary hearing. We've heard the petitioner, state what they're asking for. Does anyone on the board have any other questions, comments, or concerns right now before we set up a public hearing? All right, that being said, I'll look for a motion on BZA 25004.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to set this for public hearing.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
The motion second, for discussion.
No.
Sergio, would you please call roll?
Member Mayor,
Yes,
member Sharp,
Yes.
and member Raffin.
Yes. Please work with staff about, meeting all the requirements, set up your public hearing.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Yeah, definitely appreciate it.
No problem.
And I would say everyone I've been working with at the town of Munster has been absolutely great.
Thank you.
You know, through going through this, they've been first class.
They know their stuff.
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you very much.
All right. We have no public hearings. We have no continued discussion items. We have findings of fact. We have BZA 25002, developmental standards variance, Alexander, family dental, received additional approval for variance of table 26671 B type, B sign types, monument sign, dimensions, and additional standards for area at 131 Ridge Road.
Mr. Chairman, I have one correction.
What do you have?
So under item number 4,
Okay.
the last sentence, petitioner shall reduce the overall sign height to 6 foot as permitted by the sign code. Doesn't say anything about the width, I think, because we did have discussion in the minutes about the width of the sign as well. But this doesn't make any note on that.
Sergio, can you make an amendment and add that sign dimensions that was approved on this finding of fact?
Correct, we'll do that.
That's fine. Can we,
It does state that,
does it?
give me 1 second so I can tell you. In the motion that was made, paragraph 4, to approve the developmental variance to permit the overall signage width and width of the sign face with the 4 tenant panels. The motion was to do it as they proposed. Your motion specifically, Ms. Mayor, was that to allow them to construct based on the width that they were proposing, but that to remove the address and then to reduce the height down to the 6 feet.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm just saying, I think that we should be indicating what the actual width is, though, that was approved.
Your motion did not say the width. Your motion said to approve the width as proposed and shown in the photos.
So if we have that as part of the document anyways.
It's attached to the documentation. That plan is for it because the width, right, there's the top piece that had one width, there's the sign that had another, there's the internal panels that had another. That's where it's the reference to that for what was the proposal is why. Had you motioned specifically with the widths, then that would have been what was specifically put in there, but
But
the
legally,
record has to follow what
but legally
was
we
said.
have.
What the plan was. Yep, and that's was what her motion was, which was accurate and to the point and very specific to it. It was great in the
And-
sense of saying specifically what you're asking to do on width is approved.
And if they didn't build it per that drawing, we have this in here saying.
Absolutely, and yeah, and their approvals or what was the building permit on that is going to be for that.
We did receive, the building permit and it complies with what was presented.
Okay, all right, very
Yeah.
good.
And some guys here in all of this too, so.
Oh, yeah, you are. That's
Yeah.
right. And this one too.
The legal counsel on behalf of the petitioner agrees with that.
There you
Yes.
go.
On the record.
Even better.
Okay, well.
Do I
now-
say the address?
We can nix that.
All right, so we have a motion?
No, delete it. Delete it. Oh, we have a motion to approve.
Yes.
Yes.
We have a second? All in favor? Can I say all in favor, say aye?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you all.
There's no other business. We have the next regular, business meeting is August 12th, 2025. We know the business, I'll look for motion to adjourn.
So stated.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, everyone. First one.
Well, thank you. I mean, worked out. We got
All right,
the check.
folks, let's go. I'm gonna call this meeting of the Munster Planning Commission to order for Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025. Please set your phones on stun. And let's stand for a moment of silence in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Score, nice to see you. We call roll, please.
Commissioner Brannigan.
Here.
Counselor Hoffman.
Here. Oh, Sergio's gonna do it. Nice to see you, Sergio.
Nice seeing you as well, sir. Commissioner Jones. Is not here today. Counselor Nellens.
Present.
Commissioner Raffin.
Here.
Counselor Schinkin.
I'm here.
And Commissioner Baker.
Present, we have a quorum. Let's roll. Next up on this is the approval of the minutes from June 10th, 2025. They're a long one. I'm sure you all read them. Any modifications, changes, motions? What say you?
Make a motion that we approve the minutes.
There's a motion to approve. Any discussion?
Here in a second.
And a second, we have a second in a discussion. Either none, all those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed, none, they go in there for the record, they're on the website for all to read. Next up, preliminary hearings, nothing, next is a public hearing, the continuation PC 25-006, the developmental plan review. Mark Smith of E. Anthony on behalf of Family Christian Center, request review of development plan at 340 45th Street, which is a continued public hearing. Sergio, you're up first.
So this is going on its third month of a public hearing. They're requesting expansion of the existing facility, the Family Christian Center. We're looking to propose a building expansion to the east and to the north. The expansion proposed and made of brick, aluminum, wood composite, and glass is identified. And they're looking to propose or use the existing expansion for storage, space for gathering and workshop and other uses ancillary to the primary unit of the worship location. They are looking to add additional green space as part of an expansion to the east. They would be reducing parking spaces, however, they exceed the minimum required parking spaces per seat as identified. Currently, we previously had Mark Smith of E. Anthony representing the project. We currently now have Attorney Scott Yang representing the project and ready to follow up with additional.
Mr. Mendoza, you weren't here last time we talked about this. There was some requests for additional documentation. What's the status of those updates? Is that what I'm looking at as I rolled in on this meeting?
I don't know, sir, what you're looking at, which is presented this evening, but what I can tell you is that when I read the minutes, it indicated to you there was a request for additional information. We did not receive that information. I would refer back to the applicant.
Thank you. Any questions for Sergio and staff before we go on?
Mr. President, if I can just clarify something for the.
Yes, ma'am.
For Mr. Yang in terms of his presentation, because we did not have a quorum, let me restate, in June, at the conclusion of the hearing at that time, this was set over by vote of the commission to the July 8th meeting, because there was not a quorum at the July 8th meeting, and this meeting was scheduled for a special meeting. There was notification that had to be resent and publication in the newspaper to continue the public hearing to this date. That was in fact accomplished, and those notices and publication are compliant with both state law and local ordinance.
Thank you. Somebody to speak on this account. State your name and address for the record, please.
Absolutely. Scott Yang. My address is 3 Lincoln Way, Suite 201, Valparaiso, Indiana. First of all, thank you for letting me appear this evening. I'm here as kind of a glorified MC, but I've also paid very close attention to your minutes. As you may have seen the meeting where this matter was presented, I was present on another matter, so I had some general awareness. I was engaged last week to help these folks. And during that time, had engaged in a dialogue, and I read all of the comments in the minutes. I watched the YouTube hearing, and so I know that I think I have a pretty good grasp of some of the things you all would like to discuss. I'm prepared to address all of those tonight. We are here presenting a development plan. I'll get to that later, but that is essentially what we're doing. We don't have developmental variances, or BZA, so it's not necessarily you folks, but we don't have some of the things that you all would see, but we do have a development plan that needs attention, and if anything is to happen, needs your approval to move forward. As I said, I'm here as an attorney, right? My job is to kind of coordinate, understand things, but I'm not here to speak to you as an architect, as an engineer. I've got professional folks here in the audience that will be prepared to answer any of those questions. So I'm going to give a kind of a quick overview, and I've tried to summarize in these packets before so that you're not looking through 300 pages of material. And I'll kind of work through this packet so you know what I've looked or what I'm presenting to you. A lot of it's what you've seen. Some of it is just background and context that I think will be helpful in responding to some of the issues and concerns that you all raised. Also, Reverend Muncie will be joining us. It's important for him to be here. He's been very actively engaged in the discussions with me and then back and forth, kind of getting information, including some things that we think can help the town. And I'll be prepared to discuss those. He's finishing up a service. He's going to leave early, but he had a commitment there. But I wanted to let you know, this is important to him. He will be here this evening, and he'll be able to make commitments if need be, and also answer any questions. The first thing I wanted to at least briefly address, I've got tab 1, and it's titled the Westlake Subdivision Sign Restoration. And I just wanted to share this with all of you in case this followed onto your radar, because this came up after the last meeting. There was a request reported to Reverend Muncie about, hey, the Westlake sign on your property doesn't look the greatest. And we think it's your responsibility to maintain that sign. I will tell you within days, without even doing a full exploration, Reverend Muncie undertook the work, spent thousands of dollars, got people out there. And this first slide is just to show you that when he got the message from Nicole, it was on Nicole Mazer on June 19. They got out there and they went to work on taking care of the sign right away. I can tell you this wasn't oversight, and I'm not even confident that it was Family Christian Center's obligation to take care of the sign. There was an agreement entered back in the 90s when Westlakes went in, and Mr. Williamson was the developer. And there was an agreement entered at that time, hey, we're going to put this sign on the Family Christian property. And your predecessor said, hey, well, this is going to be on their property. We need an assurance that somewhere down the road, somebody's going to take care of this. And this was, I think, in 99, 98, somewhere in that era. And there was an agreement presented, and it said that Mr. Williamson would maintain this sign. However, at any point in time, if he notified Family Christian Center that he was no longer able to do that, that they then said, okay, then we'll be responsible. These agreements were dug out later, but it was after this was taken care of. I just kind of point this out, one, to let you all know that that's been taken care of. Two, to show how responsive Family Christian Center has been as a neighbor. And that leads me into number 2, because it's going to speak to kind of the overarching theme of a lot of the material we're going to discuss tonight. We have basically 3 parties here that I'm going to talk about. The Family Christian Center, right? There's a different petitioner before you this evening, but we all know that they're aligned, so I'll refer to them that way so people don't get confused, if that's okay. We have the West Lakes neighborhood, and we have the town of Munster. My supposition, and has kind of been that this, yes, it's got some challenges. We know about traffic. We know about some things that have been done through the years. But I was struck at how good neighbors all 3 parties had been throughout the years. And so I kind of went back digging through time so I could understand kind of the development and the stages and what came when and so forth. And if we look, I got Google Earth images. I sure wish I had 1999 and 2000 available. Those weren't available to me. I should have probably grabbed one of those pictures off the wall in the back, but, for that gap, but it will show you in April of 1998. We can see that there's site development taking place at both locations. So, kind of around the same time, and it all makes sense. This was all part of the same, property at that time. And then we move forward and we see March of 2002, and we see the first set of houses going up. We see that the church is there and the neighborhood's beginning to fill up. And then I've moved forward to March of 2025. Wasn't the best time of year for overhead, but that was the available photo to kind of show us the overlay of what's there now. And just to give you a real quick timeline, see, I provided went to the Lake County auditor's record. And in 1997, Family Christian Center acquired the property. The first house that I saw that had an occupancy permit was in 1999. There may have been some that predated that, but it was, as I checked, it looked like right around that time period. And that was the addresses for, I think it was maybe one of the gentlemen that actually spoke here at the last meeting. So these folks have grown up together. It isn't the case that one got plucked down into the other's neighborhood. This was the case that the original developer had both uses in mind, so nobody was shocked or surprised. And we all know, because I handle a lot of this type of work, right? Sometimes we do have lots that were undeveloped for many years, and then a new commercial development shows up in somebody's backyard, and that's a lot of tension, and then you folks kind of get on the firing line of that, and that's never pleasant. We talk about property ownership and so forth. Here, that really isn't what happened. It was a development that took place over time together. One of the things that I want to bring out tonight is that what I have learned in some very firsthand accounts and actually seen documents, so I could provide anything to verify this, but I heard it some even just reading the minutes and watching the YouTube, is that Family Christian Center has a security and traffic team on site all the time, that they are using that building of any considerable traffic flow. And they in fact hire off-duty Munster police officers to help with that effort. And they have some very important objectives. They are told, under no certain terms, any traffic priority is given to the Westlake neighborhood residents. So those folks, everybody else stops if need be, and the Westlake neighbor traffic, their vehicles are waved through. That's the fundamental rule, because they want to be a good neighbor. They understand what it's like to have a large church next to this neighborhood. They want to be good neighbors. They have a security team that monitors the entrance, basically, to the Westlake's neighborhood via a security cam for 18 years. And over the years, particularly during the hours of 1 a.m. to 5 a.m., they have from time to time, they notify the Munster police if something looks suspicious, just as being a good member of the community. So, I mean, they care about obviously their property, but they also care about their neighbors. They paid for the construction of Margot Lane from 45th to the FCC lot line once upon a time. So, I mean, they have been part of this development as well. And as I talked about, they did the sign rehabilitation. I think they've also been a really good, reliable supporter of this town as well. And I learned about a lot more than what I summarized in this packet. But they annually, park 600 cars for the town fireworks display, no question. Their security team is there to help park cars, get them navigated, clean up the lot afterwards. They pick up the trash after the events. They take care of it. They are happy to do this, but I'm going to say this next point causes them some issues. They are happy to facilitate the folks that use the soccer fields, because a great number of those, my folks estimate up to 130 cars oftentimes, park on their lots because it's right next to those soccer fields, and it makes good sense. And if they're not parking there, chances are they wind up in the neighborhood where, that's not optimal. There are times that creates issues, right? Particularly on the last Sunday service, because we've got all the, the first games of soccer showing up there, and we've got the last service, and so sometimes we have a bump in traffic there. But our folks do work to make sure that those people can get in and out as well as a priority. And once again, FCC employees clean up the lot after the soccer field's used, because kids, things happen. They don't complain about it. They don't ask anybody for reimbursement. They look after the park. They try to be a good neighbor. And I think that is an underlying theme here that I really want to impart, that they want to work with you all. They heard your comments, and I'm going to address some of those specific concerns here. Originally, where the soccer fields are, that was originally, as part of the initial transaction, they were going to own that property. And Mr. Powers, who was the one that sold this lot initially, suggested, why don't we wait, because I might need some of that for Mr. Williamson's project at the back. Well, then something came up, and probably, we understand how the requirements probably arose. Westlake subdivision needed a park. And Mr. Powers had to apologize to Reverend Muncie and say, I'm sorry, I told you about that. I was going to sell that to you, but we need it all now because we have to put the park there to probably get the subdivision approved, right? Okay, not a problem. They didn't have an immediate use, but not too long thereafter, they did have a required use, because to get a permit, they needed to get some extra land for parking, which they turned around and purchased that land from the town. They would have purchased it from Mr. Powers, but it was a collaborative agreement, and probably arguably less than arguably it is less than they had hoped to receive at that time. That's stuff that all happened in the past. Nobody's blaming anyone for it, but it just kind of also explains why we're here. And granted, this has been a few years now, and Mr. Baker can speak to it as well as anybody, but I think it's worth remembering that this church sent multitudes of people to go fight the flood and to mobilize their folks, because they have the ability to reach people and make a request. And they were an important part of fighting those floods. So they have given to the community. Then I want to make sure that we understand, I think, there may have been a little bit of confusion about what the request is here concerning square footage and parking. So I pulled out the records that I received. And this was a record that was part of the report, but I added a couple of titles. I changed the font size. I added some red text so that we could all see this and call this out, primarily so that I wouldn't screw it up when I was standing here. But the square footage and parking calculation, we have existing building of 98,977 square feet. Okay. There is then, you will see the additional proposed square footage that will get us to, we'll add 36,585, getting us to a total of 135,588. And that's going to be an important figure later. So flag that, 135,588. We propose a total of 720. That's the big red. Above them, they're existing 774, and I'm sorry, 709 total existing 790. We propose 720. Okay, so those we have our total square footage, the 135,588, and we have total spaces. This is proposed now, 720. We then go to the map, right? And this map comes from the Munster zoning code. And it is applying the specific terms of the zoning code, doing the multiplication, and they are required to, let's call it 634 spaces are what the zoning code requires. I didn't draft the zoning code, right? I read them all over. My understanding after speaking to Sergio over the years, Mr. Van Wood before him, is that this was a tighter, what I was always told was a tighter requirement, or more more exacting requirement on the number of spaces and the models they could have chosen. The only reason I know that is that I've had to request variances in the past, and it was suggested to me, maybe the argument you could make is use this prevailing standard, because there are a number of standards out there in the world that are used by municipalities all over the place, and customarily Munster is at the high end. I'm not in this field, I'm not qualified to tell you whether that is so, but I'm telling you that's my experience. You can take it or leave it. I'm sure Sergio can let you know if I'm right or if I'm wrong on that point. So if we are required to have 634 spaces, we are proposing 720 spaces. Per the zoning code, there are extra spaces there. I'm not going to leave that there, but I'm going to leave it there for right now. Okay. The floor plans, the site plan renderings and floor plans. I do understand that there was some confusion as to which plans you were being asked to consider at the last meeting. So I asked Mr. Smith to send me what is the absolute latest version. And you'll see I've broken them out into separate tabs to show the existing site plan, the existing second floor, the proposed site plan, the proposed second floor plan, and then the phase 1 and phase 2 set. I've included those in the packet as an easy reference. It is my understanding that those were in the existing packets. What I'm including here tonight is this contextual information, which you haven't seen, the overhead images and so forth. I have some extracts of the zoning code. But the drawings, they haven't been changed since you last saw, but they are organized hopefully to give you an easy reference point. And I'm guessing that you'll want to hear from some of the folks that are really competent to speak about some of these matters at some point. So we all have a set that we can rely on as to what we're looking at. And just from my past experience, I know that it's tough up here in the moment to try to figure that out and what's what. Let's skip over the zone. Yeah, let's
Get to it, Mr. Yanni.
I'm getting to it.
All right.
You gave me a lot of material at the last meeting, so I'm getting to it. The zoning code overview, right? Under the zoning code, it is a place of worship. Your zoning code says primary use determines the standard. And I know there's some reservation about this, but the zoning code provides one space per 3 auditorium seats. Okay. And it talks about a little bit why that is the case. I've gone through, because my job is oftentimes to figure out what do these codes say, because I read a lot of them, they're all over the place, and they have different types of definitions and so forth. Sometimes they have defined terms. This is a very, as we all know, it's a very dense, very complex zoning code, and to kind of thumb through it fine, but I do pretty exhaustive searches to look through, so I know what is what. I do these things to help me. I'm sharing them with you. You all know your zoning code, but my understanding of the calculation that I provided to you before is fully supported by that zoning code, and that's why I've included that extract. The shared parking space. There was a comment made at the last meeting about the shared space. The shared parking spaces from other property owners. There are not agreements. However, I have on tab 6, and I got this, we just got this today. There's an email message from Brian Kamstra of Payrock. So that's an adjoining property owner. And I'll just summarize it so you don't have to find it, but well, I'll read it verbatim so you don't think I'm making it up. As you know, I'm the owner of Payrock Building at 9404 Margot Lane in Munster, Indiana. This is addressed to Pastor Muncie. We are located directly across the street from FCC. For the last couple of years, we have been honored to allow your church on special occasions to use my entire parking lot free of charge whenever the need arose. This email is to notify you and the Family Christian Center that going forward indefinitely, FCC can have full access to my parking lot at no charge for any events on Sundays or during the week. Praying God's blessings, etc. That's not a parking agreement. It's not binding. It's not a commitment, and certainly Ms. Bennett would tell you that. We don't, under the zoning code, you know, I never say we're not required to do a thing. We're required to do what makes sense for everyone. I will say though, the zoning code says that we have more than met the requirements of the zoning code. And on those occasions where we think the need may be greater, we have secured assistance from others to use outside lots. So this is something that is of importance to us. My last section here is just understanding what our roles are here. And I've included, and I won't address it right now, I'll just kind of address that, maybe if questions come up. But I have had I've done I need to understand when I'm standing up here, what is the standard of review? First of all, we'll start with the understanding that planning commission review is required here. Some matters are deferred to staff, some go to the commission. This absolutely is something that goes to the commission because it's a structure other than a single family dwelling and it involves a parking area. The standard of review, it talks about, you know, the underlying standards and why we have those. I've added some bold text. You may choose other bold text. Fundamentally, what we have to show you tonight is that this plan that is being submitted to you tonight complies with the town comprehensive plan. This Article 8, where this section comes from. The town subdivision regulation and the town building code. And essentially the Munster zoning code that we're all looking at here tonight. We have a finding, and it has, you know, I've seen the staff report, that we meet those requirements on all fours. We actually exceed those requirements. That doesn't mean that we're not willing to talk about other things, but fundamentally, that's the standard of review that I see. Now, if somebody wants to tell me I'm wrong, I'll listen all day. I'm a very good listener. But fundamentally, there's a standard of review for a reason so that we all have a comprehensive understanding of what is expected and what we can rely upon. And it's for town property owners and towns alike. There are some other requirements, engineering, right? It's my understanding that this has gone through engineering and that we've met those requirements. I am prepared to tell you about something that came up last meeting. We are a legal non-conforming use in a couple of areas. Okay. One of those was Mr. Taranga was here at the last meeting, right? And there was a flooding issue. Well, I've been digging into that the last couple of days. And it turns out apparently a lot of it is believed and asserted that a lot of that water came from Lansing and kind of came through a backup. They are working on replacing that, what the code allowed at that time, a 1.5 inch reduction pipe. If I get the words wrong, Sergio, please help me here. They're going to increase that, and they're also going to put in a backflow flap, so it prevents that water from coming in.
Who's they, Mr. Yaney?
Family Christian Church, sir. And Don Taranga is the engineer that is examining this issue. They've come up with a plan. And this is a problem to them. It flooded them. It caused their damage or their property to be damaged. They are actively working on doing this. Right now they're legal non-conforming, but that's not good enough. Okay. Another thing that I found out in discussion that I'd like to tell you about tonight is that I think, and it came up in one of the folks that appeared in the comments last time, that it's harder than it could be for people to use that new entrance because the curb is high. People are afraid of damaging their ribs. And so kind of been digging into that today and yesterday and found out, yeah, that's a problem. In fact, we, Family Christian Church, we got sued several times because people have gotten there. You mean we could lower that? We thought we had it. We were afraid to ask. Well, one of the benefits of engaging in a process like that is I reached out and I've asked today, and I've talked to Sergio about that, and Nicole gave me some good information. And we want to grind that down, and we think Family Christian Church, sorry, Baker, I'm trying to make that clearer. We want to help the traffic flow. Reverend Muncie thinks that that will actually help considerably because it'll encourage more people to use that entrance. And he indicated that, I think he gave me a figure, I wrote it down on another note, about 58 to 60% of his parishioners are from Indiana will go that way. And that is specifically the traffic flow that will be helped primarily. And so that's something that we intend to do. We'll listen to anything else. And we're going to be responsive. I'm trying to, I guess, impart to you that you listen. We want to participate, be a good neighbor. And I'll be here to answer questions, and these folks will as well.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, my first question for you, Mr. Yanni, is how do you come up with 1909 as far as the capacity of total seating? And how is that impacted with the expansion?
So that is the current occupancy.
Based on,
The current fire marshal state code review, current. Once the plan, my understanding of this process, and like I said, this is probably gonna require an expert to speak more carefully on that. My understanding, based on where I sit, is that the plans go downstate first, and an initial allowance is determined, but then it is vetted and determined on site by the Munster Fire Department.
so, we're trying to do the best for the community, and this isn't this is the first time a place of worship is coming looking at an expansion. This whole scenario with this civic component is new, at least in my tenure. And I'm interested in that 1909 and how this would be impacted with the flexibility built into that plan as far as the number of seats. And that those number of seats are just sufficiently serviced by the number of parking spaces available.
They don't have 1909 now. I am told the number. Hello, 17. Please.
About 1750, but it's 1909, state approved.
1750 existing, correct? Yeah. We don't anticipate we're getting up to the 1909, number one. I guess if I go back to, and I don't want to say this, but I'll just say that if I look at the zoning code and do the calculation, right, we have 80 spaces, we could accommodate another, I don't want to say we're gonna have 300 more people in there, whatever the math would be on that. I just think that we're still relatively considerably under the prescribed amount. The required amount.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Yanni?
Well, they kind of go off of what Mr. Baker was saying. Is it my understanding, the numbers that you're coming up with, some of the seats in the new chapel are kind of, if you need 150 chairs, you put them up. If you need 300 chairs, you put them up. Are they going to be permanent installed chairs?
Are they going to be?
They are not permanent chairs. There's no such thing as 300 in that auditorium or in that chapel.
Well, I was just making up a number because I think the last time
They're
they were
not,
saying
they're not anchored.
Wait, I'm sorry, sir. Could you come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record, please?
I'll be glad to.
Thank you. This is public sector, believe me.
My name is Pastor Steve Muncie. Hear me?
I can.
Good. And I pastor Family Christian Center for 42 years. We've been here 20 some years in Munster. We love it. We think it's great. There is no permanent seating in this edition. If you remember the first meeting, do you remember, Mr. Baker, the first meeting where we were saying why we were building this?
Yes, sir.
What did I say?
I don't remember, sir. I didn't know there'd be a quiz.
All you have to do is say, I don't remember. We're building this building because we spend $25,000 across the street on warehouse. Most of this building that we are building is warehouse space, so that we do not have to spend that, and that will take care of our needs for our productions. We have 5,000 costumes. We have sets because in our performances at Christmas, Easter and summer, we fill the hotels up. They buy the gasoline. The restaurants are full. We bring probably one of the highest tourism out of 4 or 5 events into Munster. So we want to save our money and build, which that is what we are presenting to you. It's not more seating, only that the fact we want to pray in our chapel. And so that is not fixed seating.
And it's gonna be used for funerals and stuff like that, so it's a little smaller venue instead of going into the
Yeah,
auditorium.
that's correct, because some funerals, there's 25 people. That's hard to do a funeral, with, you have 1,800 seats. So, but we are very excited about our prayer. We're into prayer. So we want to have 24-hour prayer, and we want the doors to be available to be open. I don't know if you know the story of 9/11. There was no churches open at 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning in Munster. And our doors were open. And there were all denominations that came unexpectedly because our doors were open and people were wanting to pray. No offense to anyone else. It just was an emergency time in 911. We feel very strongly that there should be a place where people can come and pray 24 hours a day. We can't do that now because, of all of the security issues. So there is a small chapel that we have emphasized to do that.
Does that answer your question, Councilman?
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions with regards to the petitioner?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
just a question on service times, Pastor Muncy.
Yes.
What's the overlap where cars get out of the parking lot, give them enough time before the next service begins, that there's not cross traffic?
Yeah, on Sunday morning, it's about 30 minutes.
That's it, huh? So if you have stragglers sticking around, it's parking spaces, if they don't get out of the lot quick, right?
We're not any problems with it. We probably had more problems when I had 3 services back to back at 30-minute changeovers. And after COVID, we kind of stuck with the 2, and they're trying to get me to go to the 3rd. And I don't want to go to the 3rd, but we do 30-minute changeovers. We used to do Wednesday night, 2 services on Wednesday night, and it was only 30-minute changeover. So we've seen to, thank you, Scott, and thank you for whoever you talked to. We've been begging and pleading because we went by your ordinances. And if you would go and see the 45th turnout and see all of the rubber, people won't go out because the curb is so high. If you would have been generous, say to us, you don't have to build it that high, we would not have that situation. But because we're submissive and obedient, we did it according to your suggestion. Today, through Scott, I was excited that someone in leadership here gave grace to say that could be cut down. If that is cut down, there's going to be a whole lot of leverage for us to not have as much on Margot Lane. But it needs to be said here, all leaders need to know this. Our security, who is paid for the direct parking, we stop the traffic every single time for 22 years. At anyone coming out of Westlakes, we stop everything and we let Westlakes come through. There are Westlake people here tonight that will vouch for that. We've never failed to do that. Our people get upset, but we say, no, we want to be good neighbors. On Sundays, your park now has over 100 cars coming in, blocking our traffic to get out. Don't complain about that. My security said we shouldn't let them in. I said, no, we want to, because we are not the people to be people in which we reject. So lining up over 100 and some cars on Sundays at the time we're getting out is they're watching soccer in the park. because you don't have enough parking down there in your park. So they park on our park. We're thrilled. We're thrilled. We don't have anything to say negative about it. 525 cars were parked on our parking lot on fireworks night.
This
None of
year?
them were our parishioners
This year?
this year.
No. I lived there. There was not even everybody parked in Westlake Parks. There was nobody in there.
So the people that were parking on our parking lot for the fireworks, there wasn't.
I didn't
anybody
see
there.
any when I was there. I was down there.
Boy, but then you give me the right to fire a security officer because he then exaggerated the truth.
We didn't even fill our park at West Lakes that night. It was half filled. I didn't see anybody.
Well, I just know the next morning as we picked up the garbage and we picked up all of the debris, I asked the question and they said that. So I will go back and say, you said that there was nobody there.
Yeah, I'm an old football official, so I listen, I look, and I rule.
That's pretty interesting. I'd like for you to come and help me with the security officer so that I can be confronted with him. Because he told a different story to me and I would love that information to be expelled by you in front of me to him because.
And I'll have my wife there, who's a teacher in Munster.
I would love that because that was what's told to me. But
Okay.
that's not a problem.
That's here or there. You are,
That's not a
you
problem.
are a good,
That is not the problem.
that is not the problem. You guys are great neighbors. Yeah, you let us through and all that. I think one of the conditions is the revolving door. And that's all the people in West Lakes. There's just no getting in or out in between the services. Whereas maybe keep it 45 minutes. So everybody's out, then the cars start coming in. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, we're open to any kind of suggestion.
Yeah, because that's all it is. That's all it is both ways. And it shouldn't be both ways. It should be one going out, one going out. Maybe a half hour later, here we come in. Beautiful.
I know a lot of the Catholic churches and different churches in town, they have a mass at 8:30 to 10:30. So there's that extra time in between. I think St. Marie already does that. I believe St. Thomas More does that. They give more time in between the masses. So when you pull in, that parking lot's already empty. There's no cross traffic. Because if you're like my parents that are 80 years old, they go to church, you're always there 45 minutes early. So they're taking this parking space and even before the other mass is open.
Well, I want to compliment the people that go to church. Because church is very important.
Oh, yeah. Every Sunday I drive past.
We got Mustang games on home night, homecoming, and there's traffic problems, et cetera, and we have festivals, which are great and wonderful. Sometimes I know that there's a big crowd, sometimes I don't know. But we have tried to do our best, and I think we do our best. The Munster Police also helps us with the light, that's a big issue. And we've been doing this a long time, and we've not had any complaints. We tried to, I did not know there was going to be a West Lakes back there. When Mr. Powers sold me the property, there was no West Lakes. There was nothing. And so I did not know that. So we built a road, we built a building, and we're just a victim of circumstances that, thank God, there's beautiful homes back there. And we just try to accommodate the best way we possibly can. We just have to be good neighbors. So whatever you can suggest, we'll be glad to try to submit to that. I got a notice about, I think Scott maybe alluded to it. I'd like to allude to it. But after 26 years, I didn't know who took care of the corner of West Lakes and its entrance. I didn't know that. I never knew that until I got a letter to the 1st of July that we were responsible for that. I didn't know that. I thought Joe Williamson had made a deal with West Lakes. Somebody was taking care of it. I don't know who. When I got the letter, in 24 hours, we spent thousands of dollars and tore down all the trees that was required. I redid it. I'm getting water there. It's going to look absolutely incredible. That's how submissive we are to the leadership of this city. to try to work out whatever we have to work out.
And thank you for doing that.
And
That's beautiful.
we are not doing anything illegally wrong. Everything we're doing is legal.
Mhm.
Why would we want to do that? We're a church. So I hope Scott's explained that our parking is more than enough and that we'll try to do better on our traffic. We warn everybody days in advance on the holy days. That police is nice enough to give us a sign. So praise God. You know, people are going to church. I think we should all celebrate that. Doesn't matter what denomination or Catholic people going to church. So thank you for being patient with us and we'll work it out the best way possible can.
No, thank you.
And the suggestion of our time, I would love that myself. I just have to find out if we could do that. That'd give me a better rest for the next service. So I welcome that. If I could just get everybody to agree on our side.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions for the petitioner?
I don't have necessarily a question. I do think this page is really helpful and you explained it well. I guess my concern was there was a gentleman from West Lakes who was here last time and he was concerned about, parking in the other lots adjacent. I mean, it seems like if what you're saying is true, and I'm sure it is, that you have 1,750 people, typically that would be 578 parking spaces with this formula. And you're proposing 720 spaces. That's 70 less than what you currently have. So I'm trying to understand where he was coming from, if he's saying that you don't have enough parking and you're parking in other spaces. I mean, maybe he's, that's his opinion and that's fine,
You
but
can see a lot of cars, right?
Sure,
You
sure.
just see cars.
yeah, no, that was just my concern that he was, representing other neighbors, but I mean, the math that I'm seeing here works out. So thank you for.
And that's what we gotta sell the neighbors back
Yeah.
there. The math is working out due to code and ordinance.
Yeah.
I think they would be happy if they could just get in and out a little bit quicker,
Mhm,
if we
sure.
could work out something with the times. That's it.
Any other questions for the petitioner? All right, be there none, I'll bring it back to the board. Mr. Baker, yes.
Mr. Yanni, will you be representing the Family Christian Center at the Planning Commission regarding site plan review and that discussion? Because I know some of the staff reports, the building materials don't meet the building materials that are per town ordinance with metal panels, metal industrial siding, that kind of stuff. So
I was alerted to that this evening. I don't know if I'll be engaged, but I'll certainly, even if I'm not, I'll be here to be helpful. If they'll have me.
Right, need to cross-reference that further, but from my quick review, I'm not seeing any requirements.
But I'll explore whatever this is. Building materials is the question, right?
I spent some time driving around the property yesterday. Are there plans to like resurface the lot? It looks like we're getting to the point where the surface is at its lifespan. Is there plans with facility to start upgrading? the-
Absolutely.
Saying not in the yes, yeah.
We did it 4 or 5 years ago. And it has to be done again, but we want to wait till after the building's done. Yeah, we intend to do that. We intend for the property to be at its very best.
All right, any other questions? All right, be there none, I'm gonna open up the public section or hearing of this particular endeavor. If you'd like to comment on this particular petition, please come up to the microphone, state your name and address, and help us get through this.
Nobody
Going once. Going twice. Nobody. All right, close the public hearing, bring it back to the board. Say you.
I think it's a beautiful addition. I really do. It is. It will really, when people go down 45th Avenue and to see the facade of that building and the improvements that you're making. And I understand about the pain of having something across the street and having that truck going back and forth during production season. And the outfits. I mean, I don't know how you have them in now, but I know my daughter's in theater, down in Lafayette, and everything's in climate control. And if it's not in climate control.
Yep.
You're gonna lose out on that.
It's true.
I would just like to see, just different hours to make the residents in the back a little bit happier. I think if they see that, we're not gonna hear anybody squawking, you know what I'm saying?
Any other comments? Is that your motion? Huh? Is that your motion?
Yeah.
Or just motion approved.
I'll second.
So there's a motion to approve. Hold on, I have to read the number. 26, 25, please hold. 25-006. Any other discussion? I have one question, Ms. Bennett. I mean, the renderings and the actual building plans aren't the same. Or if we approve this particular rendering, is there any concern from that perspective? And I'm specifically talking about the diamond-shaped architectural things on the overhangs, which are on the rendering, but not on the actual drawings.
He said they're not gonna be doing it because your wife doesn't want to have them.
I understand, Councilman. I'm just asking the attorney on how we approve this, would this be reviewed?
What you're
You know about the
proposing,
diamond shapes?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. You can tell me about it.
what, for purposes of the site plan is obviously the layout of the building on the property, the landscaping, layout as the general, I don't want to call it a concept plan, but like the general proposal for what the lot and the structure.
This is
would look like.
development plan. Okay.
Correct. But in a sense, because they're not bound by what is on that, because of the, they have to comply with anything that they are proposing that is going to be outside, that's part of the new development, right? So new construction to the building, anything that's the new landscape in front of the building, all that needs to come into compliance with current code. So if there's any variance that is needed, it would have to go to the plan, I'm sorry, have to go to BZA. So what you're looking at in terms of the specifics for the building and the specifics for those other items, they have to comply with code requirements. Or like I said, go to BZA. So in that sense, the site plan in and of itself is not going to be to the specificity of, you know, whether or not there's a diamond on the top of the building.
So she's talking about the site plan. I'm looking at the building plan versus the rendering. And I'm just looking at this as on that. So if we approve this, is it this drawing or is it this rendering or does it matter?
Will they be going through a site plan review with the plan commission?
They did that already.
This is it.
But you're saying we're only approving the site plan, not the elevations. The elevations are just here for us.
That's all consideration is all part of it.
Okay,
But when you're getting down to the specificity of, you know, where something is specifically located, or if it's located, if it's not falling within those, specific requirements having to do with, like I said, the placement, yes, the elevations, the, layout of the, you know, parking lot as it is, the ingress, egress, those types of things. If they have to comply, otherwise, as I said, with anything that does not fall into the legal non-conforming category. So in that regard, if they're not compliant, then they need to come in and ask permissions otherwise. But, thus, the discussion having to do with material for landscaping in that new section, obviously, other things are maintenance issues.
Well, it's kind of, you know, they're a civic zone. Which standard would you follow? What's the nearest adjacent character district next door? Because they all follow the same character district as the nearest character district nearby. And if there is none, the closest character district. And I'm only bringing it up because you said title doesn't matter, but I'm reading the code, it says within civic zones, public frontage shall comply with the public frontage standards applicable to any adjacent character district, or if there is none, closest character.
To the east is an urban center, to the west is an urban center, to the north is an SDPD, and to the south is a civic zone.
So what's the building materials standards, the nearest character district to make sure that it matches what's in our code in regards to building materials?
There's cross-reference with exactly you're looking at there.
In that page 292, civic zones, the civic zones.
Yep, that's right.
Oh, yes, I found that.
Oh, you're in the summary space.
Developmental plan parcel and standard division 5. That's
Page 292 of the code.
mine.
Of the PDF.
PDF.
From,
Oh, town of Munster.
I was just say the down,
So the concern is that it should match the zone next to it,
Reading about civic zones.
but the civic zone is basically governmental buildings, worship and parks. That's it.
you said 297?
292 out of 467. It's up PDF on town.
So I'm from the town of Munster as well, but I'm looking at the civic space title, table 65, I'm sorry, 6.504B1. That's what's my page 292.
As I assume even civics standards have a standard of what.
As we have found with various issues that have arisen lately, every district does not have specified.
So if I go
standards.
in Division 5 off the table of contents, I go to page 290, civic zones, section 26.6504 civic zones. It lists civic space requirement, designation, civic space design, space required, then in 290, anywhere between 291 and 298 lists the civic rooms.
Feel like I'm in civics class.
But I'm guessing you're
Walk
looking,
up here and look at
I'm guessing you're looking for a variance anyways. I assume when it comes to United the building standards and the actual architectural of the thing, there's still some. There's still some, like here, I'm looking right
I don't
here.
know what our two differences are and what page you're looking at too.
292 right here, that's right.
I'm sorry, scroll down to the bottom of the page. That's the PDF document. What's that number? 281, that, okay.
Okay, reading it right, Mr. Young, yeah.
Right, that's what you're looking at.
Got it. I was looking at the other page numbers there. So you're looking at the shall comply with the civic zone, the public frontage shall comply with the public frontage standards of both any adjacent district.
We're doing the whole frontage of the building, correct? More than 50%, I believe. We're doing
We're not sure about the percentage.
We're doing the whole frontage.
That's how I look at it.
I was looking for the building standards, like they all have it in the charts, and that's not, so let's touch on that. Please,
The north addition is the entire, frontage.
The only reason I'm asking is the architect, I want to make sure we're using the right materials that follow our building. And our code thing. I don't have a problem with our building, but materials to match. What's been provided, listed out.
And your question then regarding which rendering, I believe you're looking at Mr. Green's back you provided. Is that what you're referencing? Are you referencing the renderings in his packet specifically?
The proposed expansion on the north addition,
It's an industrial sign, whether it's a metal trap sign, or not, I'm not even sure what kind of panel you're using, it's not. I wouldn't call it like architectural metal panel. It's like siding, right?
It'll definitely be in our.
wait a minute, are you looking for confirmation of the building materials
I
being
wanna
used
make
on this?
sure What character district are we following?
So as a part of the discussion, Ms. Bennett, can I let this guy talk as it relates to the architect for the petitioner as far as what kind of materials they're gonna put on the front of this building?
Sure.
Yes, sir. State your name and address, please, for the record, so we can do this public sector thing correctly.
We're in a motion,
We're in a
Oh,
discussion.
discussion for, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Zen Encourage. I'm the principal of Ridgeland Associates, the architects of record for this project. And a couple of things I just want to mention to you. Number one is that the rendering was something that was done before. It is not part of your package. The drawn elevations that are part of the package, part of the discussion today,
is what we're proposing as a true representation of what we're planning on building there eventually. So just whatever renderings, I know we had some, drive ups with some pyramid shapes, that's no longer going to be part of it. And it is, keep in mind that the entire existing building is a metal panel at this point. To try to add brick or some other architectural materials, I don't think it'd be appropriate. I think what we're doing is trying to do an extremely creative facade, which will be visible off the main parkway and then the east addition, actually back, so we like to use the same material, which would be a metal panel.
So we have renderings, sir, exhibit D in the Jillian package pages that we've got, which includes renderings and those drawings. There's no specs on the building material, so we look at the rendering, which still have the diamond shape. So that was what brought the questions up. Are those particular panels that you're proposing spec'd, or should we just be using these renderings?
No, there's been changes to the renderings, they're no longer applicable. There have been some modifications, the elevations that are part of today's package, that's what the building will look.
Like this, for this example, this looks like stone, but you're saying it's not stone anymore, right? This looks like it was stone.
No, not necessarily, I'm addressing more of the,
That.
yeah, the entire aesthetic.
So
here's the new rendering.
Yeah, that's not a rendering, that's an elevation. Color is rendering, but, the rendering looks like stone, but you're saying it's all metal panel, right? That's what I'm
Correct.
just trying to help you.
No, at this point that we're proposing, but it'll be true architectural metal panels, which are typically used, there may be some other materials, which, and I like to point out that basically what we're trying to do is get approval to move forward. These are not the final permanent construction drawings. If we get approval from you today, we're preparing the entire set of, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, everything that we need to submit. We all know what that is. So you will have a chance to look at things where the materials will be specified, and you're welcome to, make comment at this point. I don't think we should hang this thing up just based on.
I agree.
I agree.
That doesn't come back.
Thank you.
That's not, that is gonna be something.
We just want to get
That doesn't come back.
But this way you can work with staff and meet the
Yeah.
code on the building materials per the district that you're.
And if not, then yes, that would be the variance. Catch, I didn't even know.
So there's a motion and a second, we're under discussion. Is there any more? There are none. I'm sorry?
No.
Okay. Mr. Mendoza.
Commissioner Brannigan,
Yes.
Councilor Hopper,
Yes.
Councilor Nellens,
Yes.
Commissioner Rappen,
Yes.
and Councilor Schinkin,
Yeah.
and Commissioner Bacon.
Yes. Congratulations. Thank you for your patience. All right, moving right along. Next up.
It's a wonderful day.
Thank you, and please.
Oh, are you the one that lives across the street?
Yeah, she's a fantastic lady, and your father was a great.
And everybody should take your leadership, how you slow the traffic down and you made that whole road. That is the most phenomenal safety area of subdivisions and parks. I don't know of any other place, his place over there.
Help with getting some of those, traffic.
I tell you what, that's great.
I
Congratulations.
want to tell your mother's a very nice person.
Now help me out with the service hours.
Next up is PC 25-010, final plat, Mr. Yanni, the attorneys representing Munster MOB 1 LLC request the final plat at 9260 Calumet Avenue. Mr. Mendoza, we've been talking about this forever. You haven't been here forever though on this one though, so welcome back.
I just want to go ahead and correct you, sir, real quick, that I actually prepared the findings for all of these. So yes, I have been here, I'm just.
Mr. Yan.
You've been listening, but in any event, what I'd like to let you know is that they are here for final plat approval for the proposed lot 4. Everything's in compliance when it was preliminary approved last month.
I have nothing to add. There were no changes to the last approval plan.
I thought you got paid by the word.
Hey, can I interrupt before you guys go to the next? Would you be offended if I left after you voted?
They usually do.
No. Is it
So
all
no.
right?
Everybody leaves after we approve.
I do want to say, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your concern. Everybody needs somebody to look over somebody, but we are submitted and we want to be the very best and we hope you'll be proud of us. Thank you very much. Thank you, Scott. Thank you all.
Thank
Some people will be very happy when I tell them on Sunday.
Keep those prayers rolling in.
Yeah.
Keep those prayers rolling in.
All right.
Fill
Thank
that
you
place
very
up with
much.
prayerful people.
God bless you all.
You too.
Okay, nothing to add from the petitioner. Bring it back to the board.
I'll second.
And this is a PUD, so is this a recommendation to the council or just us for a final plat?
This is a recommendation, I'm sorry, this is a final plat. This is the final plat to get recorded. And you kind of leave a lot of record.
So even though it's part of the PUD, we don't go, from here to the council.
Correct. No, it does not.
Great, we have a motion to approve in a second. Any discussion?
I second.
Be there none, Mr. Mendoza.
Commissioner Brannigan,
Yes.
Counselor Hopper,
Yes.
Counselor Nellens,
Yes.
Commissioner Rath,
Yes.
Counselor Schinkin.
Yes.
And Commissioner Baker.
Yes. Moving right along, next up, PC 23-010 amended, couple years old, for site plan, J. Leeser Maple Leaf Crossing LLC requested an unsubstantial modification, lot 7 site plan per section 26-6, 804G12, located at 9450 Calumet Avenue. Notice, I must be reading the wrong one. No staff report. Required.
I don't understand what that means. Why, like,
Because there's not one, the code doesn't require it, it doesn't require it at state level either.
then why are we?
I'll tell you if you let me. Pursuant to your code, and it is included in your documents there, this review is to amend the site plan.
Of a
That was-
PUD, right?
Well, it's a modification of the site plan, yes, in that respect, but it is in the PUD documents itself for Maple Leaf. It references that all approvals shall follow what is set forth in the administrative procedures in your zoning code. So that takes you to page 391 of the zoning code, which is the subsection 12 there that's in your packet. That's a modification of site plan. And as Mr. Beach will go through here shortly, laying out what it is that they want to modify, your standard or your requirement is set forth in your administrative section is that it comes directly to the plan commission for determination of if the modification is substantial or unsubstantial. And it lays out in that section 12 that the holder of the site plan report determines that a modification of the plan would provide for a more appropriate or more practical development of the site, the holder may apply directly to the plan commission for an amendment of the site plan by filing an application. If the requested change is not substantial change to the site plan as determined by the planning commission, the request may be approved. So essentially, if you determine it's not substantial, you approve it based on the representation, the proposal from petitioner. If alternatively, I'm sorry, let me add to that, that if you determine that it's a more appropriate development of the site or because of exceptional circumstances, that close adherence to the approved site plan or certain construction would produce unnecessary impracticability in the development of the site. So if you make that determination, then you act on the request immediately. Alternatively, if you determine that the request is for a substantial change of the site plan, the request shall then be subject to all procedures that follow for site plan, which is going to require then notice, hearing, review, and all the procedures, which will then go through a full staff evaluation, report, all of that, as though it was a brand new site plan. So it's the shortcut version that allows for a slight modification if that's the determination, or for modification if you determine it's insubstantial, and you're just making that amendment to what was previously approved. If not, then yes, then it starts all over and goes through the whole process, and then you get the full review at that point and the full staff input at that time, but otherwise it's kind of a, do not pass go or do pass go and go around and it's a quick review in that sense. And then the burden at that point is on the petitioner to lay out how this is substantial.
Clear as mud there, Rachel? All right, thank you, thank you.
The poor guy just wants to
Administrative
get-
role.
All right, I'm assuming that you are the individual who's gonna speak on this behalf of the petitioner. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
David Beach, 1630 Cherry Blossom Drive. And
Have
yes,
that, sir.
I will be speaking tonight on behalf of Maple Leaf Crossing. So just to give you a little history, we have ordinance 1803 that was passed on July 20th of 2020. Now, I'll call that kind of the master ordinance.
You should have brought a packet.
I'm gonna try and keep it short for you. It sets forth the allowed uses, the allowed materials, the allowed standards for all of Maple Leaf Crossing. And then in 2023, we had ordinance 1908 adopted, which is the site plan. And the site plan includes 7 lots for construction, 2 outlots. And the amendment that we're requesting, we think is a minor, that is not a substantial amendment. And it only applies to lot 7. And it only applies to the building that will be constructed on lot 7. We're not amending anything else in the site plan. We're not changing the boundaries of lot 7. We're only changing the building that will be built on lot 7. And if you recall, in 2023, we had a purchaser for lot 7 that was going to build the Karma Cigar Bar and Lounge. And we went through quite a few hearings to get a new ordinance approved and a 3-story building with a retractable roof. We had a purchase agreement for them to buy the lot. They got started, they put their foundation in, and then they got the bids. It was gonna be $7 to $8 million to build the building. They said this isn't financially feasible. So the approved use of the cigar bar is not going to happen. And when they went away, we took the lot back and want to make sure we know what's going to happen with it. And that's what brings us here today. What we're proposing, as you see, what you've approved is a 3-story, 12,500 square foot cigar bar. What we're asking to do is use lot 7 for a 1-story, 6,500 square foot retail and professional space. And the building that we're proposing meets all of the requirements of 1803, what I refer to as the master ordinance, the materials we're using, the uses. In fact, you've already approved 2 buildings that are very similar to this. I don't know, when you last driven by on Calumet Avenue, we have building 5 and building 6 that have the shells. 5 is almost completely completed.
I must say, it's been the slowest strip mall I've ever seen built, to be honest with you.
And 6 is nearing completion. 7, I have the materials here tonight that they probably look familiar because they're the same materials that we have in 5 and 6. We want to do the same thing with 7. The building's slightly smaller. It's 6,500 square feet instead of about, I think it's 7,700 square feet. But that's the minor amendment we're asking for, and the reason we're asking for you guys to do it as a minor amendment. We build these buildings with steel instead of wood. We're at an 8-week lead time to get steel ordered, and we'd like to get that building 7 done this year.
Back you go.
What's that?
Based on history, here's my question, Mr. Beach. This original cigar bar had a totally different use than your other buildings that you have on building 1 and building 2, the strip malls, right?
Correct.
You had more of a evening kind of crowd, parking wise, that kind of stuff. Now this whole development is a daytime crowd. There's where I caution between substantial and unsubstantial, because the use of what we originally approved is a totally different use now than I would say the cigar bar was. So I don't know the impact of parking and overflow between the hotel and the 4-story office complex.
Sure.
It makes me a little worried of some until I see some of the other two building users get filled and what's going on that property.
So, and I can
And I
address
worry
that.
that we're cramming too many things in there just to put another glorified strip mall in there. That might not be the best use for the town of Munster.
And I'll take them in the order that you asked. The first was the parking. And we submitted our parking study to you. I think that was in the July 2022 meeting. And in that parking study, they assessed the peak usage for buildings 5 and 6, which are going to be very similar to building 7. Building 7 will just be a little smaller. The peak usage for buildings 5 and 6 was going to be in the afternoon. In each of those and the peak usage for Carmen Cigar Bar was also in the afternoon and evening. The parking usage for building 5 and 6, each building was about 50 cars less than they were estimating for Carmen. So this should free up about 50 spots over the original plan that we had with Carmen during the peak usage.
I might ask, this is a 1-story building
Yes, sir.
and Karma was gonna be a 3-story?
Yes, sir.
Which would have a higher capacity for individuals.
Well,
I'm not going out drinking at 3 in the afternoon smoking cigars.
No,
compared to 6,
They are at
7
his
o'clock.
Maryville
All right.
place. They're packed by 11 o'clock.
so,
As I go there, yeah, I go there. and get myself.
11 in the morning?
well, and the space savings is twofold. We're going from
No, I don't.
12,500 feet to 6,500 feet. So that's a savings, but also going from a restaurant to mixed storefront and restaurant. The restaurant has the highest parking capacity requirements. Using some of this as just retail has a lot less parking. So even if the whole thing was restaurant, it would be half of what Karma was. But because it's going to be some retail, it will be even less.
What's the agreement also? When's the other stuff? They were supposed to have some kind of like uses up front, the container stuff and all that kind of stuff. There was supposed to be a cheaper retail space for local Munster businesses to start out. I haven't seen any of that on the table yet.
Well, and in fact, one of those we have, I think she's going to end up moving into building 6. We have a stationery store and she's decided that she would rather have bricks and mortar. So we're giving her a preferred lease so she can have a more permanent space. But the idea, and I think we're going to be pushed back now, was to get these 3 buildings done so we can get the phase 2 parking lot in, and then we can address 3 and 4 in the middle of the spring. But we've got to get all 3 of these buildings on the south side done, get the at least the structural work done, so we can get the pavement and curbs finished over there.
Here's a question of building materials. We sat here with Mr. Lees or yourself. We talked about the office building and all that limestone and stuff. That's now pollution. Is there plans to start power washing that and keeping the maintenance of that Indiana limestone white, or is it just going to?
I believe it has been power washed at least once, and I think part of that is aging. You know, and I wasn't prepared to address the power washing of
You get
the
the whole
office
site
building.
over here. So,
You know, what I'm, again, all I'm asking for today is a change of the building for lot 7. I'll certainly be able to talk to Jay about whether we're gonna have that power washed for building 1.
Sergio, can you open up T4, the architectural site plan? That shows the shape of the building.
T4.
I don't know which document I'm in. It's the,
T1 to T4.
Yeah,
so you can show
or any site plans of the proposed
So this
building.
is T4.
Yeah, I'm looking at the one that shows the building, the new building shaded. I mean, whether or not we liked the use of the cigar bar, it was a beautiful building. It was a nice jewel box of a building, like it was special. And what you're proposing now is not special. Like, to be honest. It's just, it's a strip and it's gonna look, it's disappointing. It's like just you threw a box on a triangle and I don't think there's anything that rendering that we just saw, that's what we were promised as the town, you know, when this project first came to light. And, you know, then they said, are those still happening? You're saying on the second?
So let me, to address your first point, when we first had Maple Leaf Crossing approved, lot 7 was supposed to be a little pub.
Sure, and.
And this karma came out of nowhere. They
Right.
said they wanted to build this. We said, great. We weren't planning on a cigar bar, but because of the building you want to do, we think it would be a great addition. We went to the effort to get all of that approved. This building, as you can see, it's not going to be just a rectangle.
Well,
There is some dimension to it. The
No.
entirety of the building is going to be stone and brick. It's not going to be, you
I mean,
know,
I know
a
what
cheap
they-
building.
Yeah,
But does it meet code? Does it,
Yeah,
Sergio, does
but-
it all meet? So why
That's
are
all
we?
that matters, unfortunately.
I mean,
It's a-
why are we
it's
taking
district,
this
it's not
down?
funded by the
Yeah.
town, there's not development dollars, you
But-
can't.
I'm not sure glazing on the whole front meets our ordinance. I'm gonna go.
That's not what we're talking about at this
I
point.
was looking at renderings of the architectural standards, so.
Correct.
So-
But again, they gotta meet with what the PUD says for those things.
Um,
So you're looking at it for purposes
The other
of
way.
the development plan or site plans for it.
Is it right there?
Is it going to get necessarily to those specifics in your approval? As long as they comply with the code, they can switch that up, even if that's different from what you're
I
approving.
just feel like it's my job as an architect to point these things out.
What
What
thing
You get
we-
lambasted on social media again for a
I know you are.
mediocre
And
building.
that's what you all have to understand too, it's my job to count you legally,
Yeah.
and
that's fine.
therefore I can't take you to the position of saying, yeah, I can put these restrictions.
And I'm just, at this point, I'm just giving my opinion and,
I thought the whole purpose of the PUD was more
Right.
flexibility and stuff. It became the architectural standards.
It is, but it's the standards that are in the PD. So whatever those standards are for materials and things like that, that's what they're bound by.
Is that PUD also going back, is it referencing also our form-based code off the character districts or no? I mean, what's the? I don't
Only
really-
where it
I'm on the
references,
PUD language.
where it references in that specific document, so the Maple Leaf PUD that was passed, and it's been amended obviously for each different, lots for different things, if that's the case, but there are some things that are specific, build, or, uses, materials, I think there's some things having to do, no, because I know the other standards refer back to the code, the landscaping, the parking, things like that. Parking set out in the PUD ordinance, what the numbers should be. Obviously how that's dispersed is, you know, has some flexibility to it, but otherwise in the PUD ordinance it specifically says what refers to character-based code. And those are, you know, those other things such as, I think the landscaping, terminals, or
So that was a lot of reading this week.
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot that's,
It's
that,
the materials that they don't describe the architecture style, or the requirements of the architecture style. They reference the materials, but with regards to architectural standards, typically are presented during an incentive offer, incentive type of discussions.
that's right, just the control to tell them what you want to see, but without that, it's, you know, confined to what that ordinance is, and that is often can be much more strict than your zoning ordinance. But often has overlap, right? Some standards that are and some that refer to the character.
Those incentive offers are usually identified through the development agreement, not so much in your PUD. So like he defines the standard and the guidelines for that.
I'll tell you one thing. If I was, I mean, just looking at this, and I agree with Rachel. I know you're saying, yes, it meets code. We need to do better here,
Yeah.
and we're not doing
And I
better.
know
We
we
need to
wanna get
make
out
sure
here,
we're going
but-
back. This is something I drive past, you know. I built these strip malls all the time. This is the one that bothers me. I'll drive past this one and go to Centennial Village and spend my money there until I see something that's nicer. And I hate to say it, Jay's a friend and stuff, but you know, this is the kind of stuff that when I see the post on social media, I just read it and I'm like, you know what, they're right. I could have done better here. I don't know why. Maybe maybe I didn't read the agreement then, I never saw the agreement and stuff, but maybe the commission needs to see some of those agreements with developers beforehand, so we can put our,
This isn't an agreement, this was in the PV ordinance that you approved.
but there's a developmental agreement that came through, and I thought we don't write some of that stuff, so
The
that's.
development agreement is stuff that the redevelopment.
First, you know.
Correct.
That is a preview of the plan.
No. And
Because
it's
when I
not,
looked at Cigar Bar, I was really excited, because I'm like, this is totally different, but this is just 5 buildings that,
Okay,
I don't know, we'll see.
duly noted. So, I mean, what we're dealing with now is only lot 7 on this PUD, or do we ask questions about, are we finishing the entire parking as a part of this approval?
this is
Or
only
only
lot
on the box of what's considered lot 7?
only as to lot 7.
Only
It is
lot
Only
7.
as to those items that they have laid out.
So by approving just lot 7, then we're looking at nothing with regards to some of the surrounding parking that's there or proposed to go there? Or is that something I should be asking Mr. Beach?
That parking has already been approved.
I understand, but is
None of
that,
that's changing.
what about the parking along the railroad tracks?
None of that's changing. None of that, everything we're asking, only thing we're asking for is the building that goes on lot 7. That's the only amendment we're asking for to the site plan.
And bear with me, I'm new at this. Is the front of these buildings facing the hotel?
Yes,
So the front of the building faces the hotel, the back of the building is facing the railroad tracks. Thank you.
So the front of the building, are they gonna be parking in the hotel parking lot to walk up to this building?
well, as you can see, there's parking all around it and
Like, where are people gonna park for this building, right? Are they, is there?
There's-
Oh, they're allowed everyone to park right there?
we have it zeroed in here. Obviously, there's parking in front, there's parking behind, there's parking to the west, there's parking to the east.
Remember, we're a walkable.
So are there any access points along, the railroad side for that building? Nobody's gonna park there if you're
There,
walking through the back of the building.
each of the units has a rear door, just the same that we did with buildings 5 and 6.
So that's just employee parking, basically,
I
on
think,
the railroad side.
Service door to the
Service
back,
doors,
it's the
yeah.
service door,
Right, I'm just saying like,
not the front door.
yeah. Someone
you
who's
could park
shopping
there
at
and walk
Toluca
around.
Paper is not gonna park in the back.
Human nature, without a doubt.
Well,
All right, any
this
other
building
questions?
should almost be designed almost like a triangle or something.
Right, yeah. Let's address the site, just my concern.
Okay, so since there's no staff report, we're voting on what are we voting on?
Substantial or unsubstantial?
Is that what, is it substantial or unsubstantial?
That's your first determination.
Right,
Yep.
either put the fast pass or you sit here and review it.
And unsubstantial is the fast pass?
Correct. If you determine that with the 3 modifications essentially that they're putting out there, that turn on that building there, if you determine that change to be unsubstantial, then you need to vote on that, and then you can address the amendment. If you determine those items related to the building to be substantial, then you need that a vote. If that is the favorable vote, then it is referred back for the references for Mr. Beach to petition, filing all new, as though we're starting over as to this lot.
And the original, the cigar bar was 12,000 feet. This is 6,500?
correct. And
Same footprint, just a 2-story, right?
Right. Well,
Here we go.
not
Just-
three-story.
The other one was 3. Well, this is a bigger first floor.
so the
Yes.
original
Second floor.
first, if we can go back to the footprint. The original first floor of Carmel was,
That's the other one with the red, maybe.
yeah, I think we have one in red.
Want to hit the red outline.
That's,
Well, I can work with that one too.
that's called the foundation.
So, okay.
Building.
It's the shaded one that you're adding stuff on. If you look at A1, shaded one is where you're adding extra.
Is it A1?
elevations.
The original,
Footprint.
first floor of Karma, what was this? And then the second floor hung out to here. And so there was foundation here. And what we did is we simply were connecting this up. And then we added this little piece here to square it off. But we're using the foundation that's already in place.
And that was gonna be patio, is that correct?
Right.
Those
This was
areas
all
all
going
up
to be
front,
a covered patio, so it
which
was
is why
gonna-
it doesn't affect your landscape.
right. All of that, everything that will be the footprint of the one-story building, with the exception of this little bit, was going to be used as part of the cigar bar. We just connected up the foundation that was already in place.
Any other questions for this young man? Want to do?
I'm gonna make a motion that this is an unsubstantial change.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second that this is an unsubstantial change. Discussion?
Well, I want to say that, like, this whole conversation, I mean, two buildings are already set, fan, not a fan. It doesn't,
build everything the same.
well, it doesn't, I mean, but, and also, I mean, this property has already been, I don't know what percentage is developed. But it's a back of a lot situation. What businesses are gonna go in there? I mean, they're gonna have to decide like, hey, I signed this lease and the parking is horrendous. Or, and I could name off 2 or 3 places right now in Munster that are absolutely, in my opinion, not good. But I just think that with this, and we keep holding this up, I'd like to see the place fully functional. I'd like to be excited about going over there and use one of the businesses. And personally, I was in line to get one of the containers, whether they're happening or not. We don't know, but that was one of those things. So I mean, I'd like to see these things go forward. And I understand concerns, but I mean, in my opinion, a 3-story building that's gonna be, pretty specialized and specific. I mean, and that took off. I think we gotta get it done.
Any other discussion?
Well, I just want to make a comment too. This is a tip project. And I'd like to see it move along, just like I'd like to see Centennial Village move along. We need to put some heat under these things. And from my understanding, these buildings that Jay is putting up, there's people moving in. He's got good occupancy. And we've not done a real good job of making it available. This project is drugged and the town has some liability in that.
Do me a favor, sir, send me an email. When did the building strip mall start? I'm just curious, because we're hurrying to move stuff in, we're able to make this substantial, unsubstantial, but. I mean, we've been building this, 2 small retail outlets for 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, I don't know.
I blame Cool.
I don't know.
At least Jay's moving forward. Kimmel, how long's he been on that project? That's a tip district and the town, I'd like to see our money. He just, la, la, la.
There's no even top coat on, that thing has 2017 on the building, and the top coat isn't even in the parking lot yet.
Jay will be fully renovated with all his shops going before Kimmel.
But that's more internal, in my opinion, with the staff, councilman, about getting those things moving forward after we've done our thing and making sure that stuff gets done. And it's not getting done, so who's watching the ship?
Yeah,
So
but if everything is by code, I mean, who are,
And it's just like this project, this here, because it changed, it came back to the town to take a look at it.
every other
The town has to make a decision whether this is a major modification or a minor. A minor doesn't, it just keeps on going.
Okay, so we have a motion for unsubstantial and a second. Any other discussion? Either none, Mr. Mendoza.
Commissioner Brandon,
No.
Counselor Hopper,
Yes.
Counselor Nellens,
Yes.
Commissioner Rattler,
No.
Counselor Schinkin,
Yes.
and Commissioner Baker.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, moving right along. Next up is findings of fact.
But hold on, I'm sorry, I need you to then address the approval or non-approval of the actual, that's determining it's unsubstantial, that it's an approval or non-approval of the actual.
That's a approval, or so then what's the?
Could I just make that motion?
Motion.
Motion for the approval?
Motion to approve the amended site plan. Or
Yeah, I
development
make
plan.
that.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second to approve the amended site plan, is that correct?
Yes.
Discussion on that. How, so now it's, instead of going through the entire process again, now we're just doing the site plan for changing it from the footprint of the cigar bar to the new multi-tenant. Correct?
Yep.
Just for lot 7.
Correct.
Any discussion? Either none, Mr. Mendoza.
Commissioner Brandon,
No.
Counselor Hopper.
Yes.
Counselor Nellens,
Yes.
Commissioner Rattler,
No.
Counselor Schinkin.
Yes.
And Commissioner Baker.
Yes. Moving right along, so we got the finding of facts. Congratulations, Mr.
Thank you.
Beach. Is there any more approvals on this that need to be done, motions? Okay. So next up is the finding of facts. We have to do each one of those individually.
You do.
Yeah.
I look forward to reading all this. Thank you. All right, first one is PC 25-007, the subdivision preliminary plat. Mr. Yanni, the attorney on behalf of Munster MOB 1 LLC, received approval for primary plat for the subdivision of 9260 Calumet Avenue. Sure you all read the findings of facts. They reflect what you remember from that. Moving forward, hello. We need a motion to approve the findings of fact.
I'll make that motion.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second? And a second, any discussion? Mr. Mendoza.
Commissioner Brandon,
Yes.
Counselor Hopper.
Yes.
Counselor Nellens,
Yes.
Commissioner Rattler,
Yeah.
Counselor Schinkin.
Yes.
And Commissioner Baker.
Yes. Moving along, the finding of facts and approval for PC 25-008 rezone. Scott Yanni, attorney representing Munster MOB 1 LLC, received a favorable recommendation for PUD rezone at 9260 Calumet Avenue. What say you?
I'll make a motion to accept the recommendation for PUD rezone at 9260 Calumet Avenue.
There's a motion to accept. Is there a second?
I'll second
And a
that.
second, any discussion? Either none, Mr. Mendoza.
Commissioner Brandon,
Yes.
Counselor Hopper.
Yes.
Counselor Nellens,
Yes.
Commissioner Rattler,
Yes.
Counselor Schinkin.
Yes.
And Commissioner Baker.
Yes, moving right along. Next up is PC 25-009, a development plan review. Mr. Yanni working really hard as the attorney representing Munster MOB 1 LLC and received approval of a development plan
Make some
for a
votes.
new 30,000 square foot, 2-story medical building at 9260 Calumet Avenue.
I'll make a motion to approve this.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the findings of facts. Any discussion?
I was hoping Mr. Yanni would take off and speak.
He's got
He has a hat.
he's got another-
I can do that after. Mr. Mendoza.
Commissioner Brandon,
Yes.
Counselor Hopper,
Yes.
Counselor Nellens,
Yes.
Commissioner Rattler.
Yes.
Counselor Schinkin.
Yes.
And Commissioner Baker.
Yes. Continued discussion items, Mr. Mendoza?
I have something I just want to say.
Sure.
Just to respect George,
Yes.
you didn't quite get a thought out. You said, who are we to, question what the petitioners are doing? We are the plan commissioner, like, we are,
Did I say that?
you did, I feel like
I
you
don't
didn't
know if
finish
I
your
said
thought.
that.
You said,
Yeah,
who
but I
are
didn't
we?
say that.
Anyways, well, I'm saying that we are all here as professionals to offer our opinions, and I don't feel like we should be steamrolling things through just to get it done. I
But
feel
are
like we
here
have
for
to do.
opinions, or are we here based off of factual materials that they are bringing
Both.
in? I don't, Being on the
But-
commission isn't about opinions.
But we also had a different shape, geometry, all that kind of stuff, which really changes the look of that whole community. Now we just put another junky strip mall.
Yeah.
I had to drive through Cal State Lansing, you'll see the same stuff. So I'm telling you, because I build this stuff, I designed this
You're
stuff, and I
absolutely
develop
right.
this stuff, so I do it
You're
as cheap as I
absolutely right,
can.
Roland,
So
but
we had a whole different thing, that geometry of that parcel could have been something cool, but we just let them build a box in there.
it
Because you
was,
can't
to-
stop them.
you can't. Just like Family Christian Center, we couldn't stop it.
Unless you own
Then
the
we should have
parcel.
said, build the same building, the same geometry as their, or same foundation.
You can't.
Sure you can. You could say, you would use the same foundation, you already got a building permit for, couldn't you? And not make it bigger or smaller or anything else.
The permit can expire, the permit, you know, within that becomes the issue too on the enforcement, right, of how fast the project moves. The permit expires, you spend more money to come back and get a new one. But they could, I mean, had you denied it, they could still start over and come through if it meets the requirements. You know, you're in a tight spot there of, if they propose a plan and it meets the zoning code requirements and the master plan for the town and the zoning provisions that are laid out with reasonable certainty.
I still, and I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna do my 500 page of reading this week. I don't think that building materials meet our code with that whole curtain wall like that and the glass.
For the FCC.
Yep.
So about the church,
No, base thing. And I'm gonna go through the building materials and see exactly, because I don't think that glass meets, I don't know. I
it
wanna
doesn't
check.
matter what that says, you
Yeah.
gotta go to the PD.
Right, well, I'll take that out too, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take that
You
out
gotta
too.
start with.
Because I don't think we had primary features of glass curtain wall on that, but I wanna look, you know?
That may be, but I'm a little bit concerned, can we truly say that you can only have 600 square feet of glass, when in fact they want 1,000? I don't know.
Only if
It
the
gives you,
community
it
wants
gives you
seven.
primary and secondary and all that kind of stuff, materials, yes,
So,
you know? And we did that before, we did that with Kimball's development, right? We dictated.
that
Not under my
was-
direction, you did.
Under,
Oh, Reading came up with that kind of stuff, which honestly, we need to look at some kind of way. See how we can legally or, I don't know, we're state legislators, but we should have some kind of rule when it comes to the buildings in your town and stuff like that.
to have a look or whatever.
There's also a public money, in this, so that makes.
There's no public money though, that's the issue. If you were entering into agreements with these scientific districts and you're giving them money and now you do a development plan and you can dictate that, yes.
Yeah.
That's how communities redevelop,
Well,
right?
Kimball's
But
had tip money, there was $10 million in there or something.
He's got tips, Kimball's got tip money, we need to talk about.
well, then that would go back to whatever was that development agreement.
And maybe.
Pursuant to that tip.
Maple Leaf with its back end instead of front end, maybe we.
Yeah, this wasn't a TIF project though. He's funded his
Then
own,
there's tax revenue.
Yeah.
he's funding his own, it's a discussion.
Well,
Down the line, right?
Top line we'll talk.
Back end instead of front line.
They're entirely different projects in that, so. But the town's ability to tell them what to do. And that's where the development agreements come into that.
No, we have a boarding house in Worcester now.
Is that on Ridge?
Yeah, it's the old Nelby house.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish this meeting
Yeah.
and then we can have that discussion.
Anything else for this continued discussion items? Next meeting is August 12th, 2025, which is in what, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Be ready and entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make that motion.
Second.
And in discussion, all those in favor say aye.
I got a discussion.
August 12th, Council.
All right, we're offline.
No, we're not.
Drew,
We're not.